Welcome to Ouch. Was that a ghost? This podcast may contain graphic material, which some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Help me.
Now that we covered that, here's your host, Liz.
Welcome back to Ouch, Was That a Ghost? This week I'm covering a request. It is a short one. It's the case of the Circleville letters. Circleville is a small town in Ohio that was terrorized by an anonymous letter writer spanning over 2 decades. These notes were written in the 1970s and 1980s, mostly postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, which is about 30-ish miles from Circleville. These handwritten notes in all capital block letters accused and threatened to reveal the residents' secrets. There was over 1,000 letters sent. The writer not only threatened to reveal the people's alleged darkest secrets, at points the letters went as far as including death threats. One of the first to receive one of these letters was Mary Gillespie. She was a Circleville school bus driver, and she would remain one of the writer's biggest targets. She received her first letter in 1977. In the letter, Mary Gillespie received the author accused Mary, who was married at the time with a few children, of having an affair with the school superintendent, Gordon Massey, who was also married with children. And the writer warned that Mary should stop. The letter included, quote, "I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children. This is no joke. Please take it serious." But Mary sort of brushed it off. Soon after, Mary's high school sweetheart and husband, Ron Gillespie, started getting these anonymous letters as well. The letters were pressuring Ron to go to the school board with threats if he did not. One excerpt being, quote, "Mr. Gillespie, your wife is seeing Gordon Massey. You should catch them together and kill them both. He doesn't deserve to live." The writer would go on to threaten Ron Gillespie that he had to expose the infidelity, and if he did not, Ron's life would be endangered. Mary adamantly denied the affair accusations. The couple decided not to do anything, and the letters kept coming with more threats, that if they didn't go public with this information, that the writer would. Letters were going to schools, to other people in the community, to politicians. And signs started popping up around town. And it said that Ron Gillespie would have to get up early in the morning, drive around, and take down all these signs. Some of the signs even mentioned the couple's preteen daughter. On top of the letters, the family started getting these threatening phone calls. On August 19th, 1977, Mary Gillespie was in Florida with her sister-in-law. That night, Ron, who was at home, received a phone call. Once he hung up the phone, Ron told his daughter that he was going to go confront the person that was writing these letters. Ron, enraged, grabbed his gun, got into his truck, and took off. Whether he confronted the letter writer or not is unknown. Ron Gillespie was found deceased in his truck near his home, crashed into a tree. The odd thing about this is that Ron's gun was still there with him, and the gun had been fired at least one time. The bullet that was fired has never been found. The sheriff concluded that it was an accident due to Ron's blood alcohol level being .16, which is twice the legal limit. His family thought that something was off, as Ron was not really a heavy drinker like that. Even his brother-in-law, Ron Freshour, was very outspoken that the sheriff should look into it. His death was ruled an accident, but not everybody believed that. Letters continued to arrive to Circleville residents, at this time suggesting that there was some sort of cover-up over Ron's death. After her husband's death, Mary came clean that she had started seeing Gordon Massey, who was now divorcing his wife, but she said that this was only after the harassing letters began. The letters kept coming. Quote, "Everyone knows what you've done." And on February 7th, 1983, Mary was driving the school bus on her usual route. No children were on the bus at the time, when she noticed a sign hanging on a fence with those block letters. This sign mentioned her preteen daughter. She pulled the bus over and went to pull the sign down, but she noticed the sign was attached to this weird box with twine. She took the box and then took the sign down. Once she opened up the box, inside she found a loaded gun. Mary got the sheriff involved, who found that the gun in the box was set up like a booby trap. So if Mary just pulled the sign down, it was set up with the intent to shoot the person who pulled it down, aka Mary. Even though the serial number was filed off, they were able to trace the gun. They traced it to an employee of Anheuser-Busch Company, who said that he sold it to Paul Freshour. Paul Freshour was Mary's brother-in-law. So Mary's deceased husband, Ron, his sister was Karen, who was married to Paul Freshour. Well, Karen and Paul were in divorce proceedings, where she alleged that Paul was cruel and had a violent temper. And Karen was living on Mary's property with her and Paul's son for a time in a trailer. She was more than happy to talk to the police about Paul. She told authorities that she had found a ripped-up Circleville threatening letter in the bathroom and a few around the house, but she didn't have any of the letters. Paul was very forthcoming with authorities. He gave them permission to search his home. He gave them handwriting samples, and he gave his alibi on the day of the sign and the booby trap as being home. He was having work done in his house, and many neighbors witnessed him there. He agreed to voluntarily take a polygraph test, which he failed. Paul Freshour was arrested and charged with Mary's attempted murder, but not the letters, even though the town did have suspicion on Paul and the letters. Paul Freshour was released after posting a $50,000 bond. Then he checked himself into a mental health facility. And during the trial, he did try to plead guilty by reason of insanity, which was later changed to just not guilty. During the trial, the man that sold Paul the gun testified, but Paul said his gun was stolen. Although Paul did take the day off from work, the day that the sign was put up with the booby trap. Like I said, he had witnesses that put him at home, and he was having stuff done around the house. But the box that the gun was found in was just like the boxes that they had at Paul's job. But at the same time, Paul's fingerprints were not found on the booby trap or the weapon. But like I said, he was not charged with the letters, but there were 39 letters allowed into evidence, which may have played a part in swaying the trial. During the trial, a handwriting expert matched some of Paul's writing to some letters. In 1983, Paul Freshour was indicted by a grand jury on the charge of attempted murder. So Paul Freshour was sentenced to 7 to 25 years. While he was serving time, the letters kept coming to the residents of Circleville. The warden took action to make sure he didn't have pen, paper. At times, Paul was even in solitary. And Paul himself got a letter after he was denied parole that said, quote, "Now when are you going to believe that you aren't getting out of there? I told you 2 years ago, when we set them up, they stay set up. Don't you listen at all? No one wants you out. No one. The joke is on you. Ha ha. Tell no one of this letter. I saw the paper. Great news. Great. The sheriff loved it. Ha ha. Do you believe it now? Do you?" Paul suggested that his ex-wife Karen, who didn't make out too well in the divorce, may have been behind the ordeal. Or the theory that Paul's son Mark may have stolen the gun, as Paul supposedly told a friend that he did in fact know who took the gun, and maybe Paul just took the fall for his son. Paul Freshour was released on parole in 1994, serving 10 years. This was around the time that all the letters stopped. And on September 11, 2002, Paul's son Mark was found in a body of water with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Paul Freshour maintained he had nothing to do with the letters up until his death in 2012. I mean, this was a big case. Unsolved Mysteries even had plans to cover the case. And they received a letter that read, quote, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, El Sicko will pay. The Circleville writer." But they went ahead with the episode anyways, which I don't think Karen was too happy about. She told people not to do the show, and she actually sort of stalked the film out and snapped pictures of those from Circleville that participated, which is kind of weird. More recently, 48 Hours did an episode on the Circleville letter writer, and even the experts that were brought in were sort of split on if Paul was the letter writer or not. There is a podcast by Mary Mayhew called Whatever Remains that goes deeper into the case. It is a great listen if this case interests you. But for law enforcement, the case is closed, and the Circleville letter writer's identity is still a mystery. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening. Until next time.
Thank you for listening. If you need more content or just want to help support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com and search Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you need some snazzy merch, you can find it at crowdmade.com by searching Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you have a story you'd like to share, you can email it to ouchwasthataghost@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and all the other social media platforms under Ouch, Was That a Ghost?
Help me.
All links can also be found on ouchwasthataghost.com.